Hello and welcome back to KitbashCarnage. So today we're going to do a little diorama in this miniature figure display that I got. I think I got like about 6 of them on Temu for like £3 or something. And then we're going to use some of these leftover bits from the parcel I got from Ramshackle Games, thank you again. And a few other little bits that I have lying around. Once again, we don't really have too much of a plan, we're just going to use these bits and see how it goes. So we'll start off with a piece of cork. Cork is really good for just making texture, adding texture to bases or foundation and stuff. It's just really good at mimicking like rock and quite cheap material to use. So here you can see me just trying to figure out, I need to use the cork as a base. And then I'm like, I wonder, obviously if I use the cork as a base and then it's see-through on the other side, then I'll have to paint it. And then I have this little piece of, it's like a cushiony material, apologies, cushiony. I have this, it's like a soft kind of spongish material. It's just black hobby crafting material. And as you can see, I'm just cutting it here with the hobby knife. And I'm going to use that to put under the cork, so I don't have to actually paint the cork itself. It would just make it much easier to work with, rest the piece of cork down when I'm working on it and stuff like that. It means that this is, in previous videos you've heard me mention, kind of try and think ahead. This is me trying to think ahead. So we'll find out together if this works. Just make sure you clean the glass, the plastic here, because last thing you want to do is fix your model or your diorama in place and then you have a big dot of styrofoam or something there. So I'm just trying to blow all the dust away and clean this piece of black material just before it finally gets stuck down. Obviously before you actually stick it or in place for good, you'll make sure that it's clean and stuff. So this is just what I'm thinking in my head. I'm trying to make, is it a good enough fit? Do I need some type of glue? And then I'm thinking, I hope it's a good enough fit, because if I put some type of glue on the underside right there, it will just show. And so I was praying that it was, and thankfully it was. So I'm just going to glue the cork to the actual black piece itself, and then that will hold it in place in the like see-through piece of plastic. That's my hopes anyway. So you remember what we always say, more glue is always necessary. So just make sure you stick enough hot glue on here or whatever bonding material you're using to make the bond between the cork and whatever piece of material you're using on the underside strong enough, but not too much so it spills over. We don't want it to spill over onto the parts that you can see through the cork, because right now I'm thinking I'm using like, I have a little bit of spillage there you can see, but in my head I'm thinking the cork is like a rock formation, you know, hence why I'm using it, and then the black is just like making that pit type look. So after we let that dry for a little bit, not too long though, because hot glue kind of sets instantly, we're having a look at these supports. So these are supports from a miniature that I got from Ramshackle. So I actually thought these looked so cool. Like, I'm guessing they were just meant to be supports. Correct me if I'm wrong, Curtis, but maybe they were meant to be used for this type of purpose, like a dual use, which in that case, that is absolutely amazing. Congrats for, you know, using the material to its full potential. So I thought that this piece would look so cool just here as like a little mountain type thing. Then using these little dudes, you can dot them around and make some type of diorama. So these are the paints that I'm going to use. So they're the ones I like using. So off camera, my brain exploded. Not literally, but figuratively. I actually figured out what the idea. Generally, when I'm doing stuff like this, ideas just pop into my head. They just come to me. So I went from it being kind of like a underground cave system to like an on top kind of mountain range, and then I was like, let's just combine stuff, make it an underground cave system volcano type. You know, I'm trying to use all these skills and techniques that I've previously used in videos in order for you guys to be able to replicate them. So all you should have to do is go back and watch previous videos like these ones in order to replicate the same type of process. So I'm trying to make it easy enough to follow along. Hopefully, leave comments if it's not that easy. I know listening to me speak isn't that easy, but hopefully I'm showing enough and explaining it enough so you are able to then do the exact same thing. Literally, don't try and overcomplicate it. Just do it exactly the way I'm doing it, and it should just turn out the same, probably better, because to be honest, I don't classify myself as good at anything like painting or anything like that. Like, I just do stuff. So if you are actually good at anything you do, what I'm showing you will just turn out even better. So congrats, and please follow me on Instagram and follow me on Facebook. I would love to see anything you've done based on any techniques or skills that I'm showing you. I say skills, I have no skill. So so let me just stop waffling and show you or explain to you what's going on here. So as you can see, I just got the green stuff Flora range red paint here. And one thing that you should have done before doing these steps is put down some type of red base coat first around the edge there, and then put your red floor on top of that. This way the contrast in the actual base coat normal paint, whatever you may call it, I don't know the terminology, will follow through and look much better with the the Flora range red from Green Stuff World product, because that's just how it seems to work, which fair enough. Then, as you can see, we're going to use the orange Flora range from Green Stuff World. So I'm going for the more pure orange than the yellow orange tinge, because we're going to use an orange on top of this to create the look that we're going for. Like I said, just look and link in the description for this type of technique that we used before in the previous base. So here we're just adding. I learn as I'm doing this. Use a little bit. Well, use what you seem necessary to use. But I tend to apply this quite generously in order to get the look I'm going for. The thicker this paint tends to go on, like I said, you should really do a base coat of the color paint you want first, and then this over it. But KitbashCarnage, let's just get this bashed out. So I'm doing an extra thick coat of this, which is obviously using the product more, and it's not going to last as long. So by doing the technique correctly, you could stretch this product out and actually use it for the price that it's worth. Which it's not actually that bad. I think each one of these were like, I don't know, £3 or £4. You know, that's not too bad for what it actually does as a product. So after letting that dry for a while, you can see this technique and type of look we're going for here. We've got the base of a lava kind of fire-ish look, and then we will use the Green Stuff Flora range yellow in order to add the last type of colour to the scheme that we're going for here. I still haven't learned to speak English, guys. Sorry, apologies. So I'd recommend using your thinnest brush here, because what we're trying to do is the first red base coat we put on, that covered the whole rim, and then the orange one we put on, that covered the bottom portion and left a bit of red on top. And now this orange is going between the red or this yellow is going between the orange and the red. So you would have an orange on the bottom, then your yellow, and then your red on top, or red, yellow, and orange. This gives, in my eyes, this is just how I do it, guys. It gives me this type of look that I'm going for. You probably could do much better. Anyone could probably do much better. I could probably do much better. But at this time, this is what we did. Here I'm just adding little streaks of yellow to the base, because what I'm thinking about doing is either leaving this standalone, or maybe pouring a little bit of the UV hardened resin that you can see there in the corner around it, and that will then create the effect of like depth. So, you know, let's just go with the flow. So we're going to stick this thing on here, the support, or the thing I think it is support. We're going to stick this with some hot glue just in order to speed the process up a bit faster. If the glue gun has any glue in it, thank you very much. Let's just fill it up with a glue stick. I'm not prepared at all, guys. Honestly, you guys probably think I'm messing when I say I don't prepare anything or think ahead about some of these ideas. Like, honestly, I just come into the hobby room, sit down and whack on probably something, podcast or something in the background, and I'm just looking around my bench to see what's on it, and then I just find pieces of cork and happen to have these bits left over that I was taking out. I was taking all the bits out and putting them in my individual containers in order to separate them. And I took out all these goblins, had them in a little goblin container, and then the supports were in another one. And I was just looking at them going, this looks like some weird... Do you know what came to my mind? It was that new Lord of the Rings movie, the one with Bilbo Baggins type of thing and all. And do you know when they're going through the Goblin Cave and there's like bridges and stuff, and I just seen that image in my head and I was like, this kind of reminds me of that. Let's have our own take on it, Let's just use these bits and create some type of diorama. Why not? Just give it a go. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. If it works out, happy days. We're trying to make a video out of it and show other people. If it doesn't work out, I probably still would have made a video out of it and you all could have laughed at me. I say that and I watch these things back editing and I laugh at myself. So yeah, we just stuck this down here, a bit of hot glue, getting it into the orientation that we were happy with. So the skull just facing out towards us, because as you've seen at the very start of the video, this is going to sit in a see-through diorama display or a miniature display. So it doesn't really matter what way it's facing, but this looked best if facing, overlooking kind of the lava effect bit. So here I just poured out the rest of the bits that I had in the little box that I was separating bits. Also, I have another kind of random box. It's literally just one of them little boxes that you're seeing these come out of, and it just has random written on it. I throw all these bits that I just pull off projects that I've got on eBay. I've bought some projects from eBay. Link in the description to the Warhammer Ebay lot. And I just get all these little bits. Instead of throwing them out, I put them in a random bits box and then I'll come back to them. As you can see here, these are the little goblin guys that I got from Ramshackle. They're kind of just around the right scale. So I'm just trying to figure out whereabouts I want them, where I want everything, what I'm actually trying to do here. So this is just a speed up a bit of these processes, because they take me, although it looks quite fast, this is me trying to just think in my head, I'm actually putting all this together, This is why I don't write stuff down. My dyslexic brain kind of makes me be able to pre-make, I don't know if this makes any sense to you guys, but I can pre-make stuff in my mind, so I can see the finished outcome in a certain way. To a certain point, like in my mind, before I actually do the thing itself. So as if you were to draw it on a page, I can see that in my head without having to draw it on a page. Sometimes I will go and draw it if it's a bigger project and there's so much to remember, but little things like these that I can just work on the fly, it just comes to me. It's like a little folder, you just pull it out and you open that project up and you just get cracking. A bit trying to pour all the hot glue off my fingers. I absolutely despise hot glue guns, but they really do help speed up the process, because if you were to do this with PVA glue, our trusty friend, it would take 2 days, probably longer, because of the drying time. So as you see, I'm just adding bits to the side here. I thought about just adding like extra exhaust pipes or little stuff like that, and then I'm thinking, going back to the concept of like the Lord of the Rings-ish type of goblin looking scenario, like the image I had in my head, why would there be exhaust pipes? So I was like, I'll add some ladders, a little bit of height to give it a bit of more character and definition in it. Then the thing I put on the floor there, it's like a little grey. There's, as you can see, but next to the skull on the actual cast piece, there's like a gun. But this, I just kind of mash that up. I just scratch it with a, I can't even talk, guys. I crush it with one of the snips in order to deform it and make it less noticeable as a weapon, and it looks kind of like a part of scenery or a mechanized thing. And then that's when the idea of I don't know how, but the idea just came to my head of maybe putting a chain, like a big chain arm, basically like as if it was a quarry, and these goblins are working on a quarry, and then they get this big chain kind of saw arm and notice that there's a giant dome over them and decide to use that to actually break through the actual casing itself. So like this, it's just come, I'm just thinking of it, I'm like, could this work? You know, how would it work? How am I going to make this work? And so on and so forth. Apologies for the terrible English, guys. I'm so sorry. So as you see here, I just cut a little bit of just basic sprue up, kind of sanded it down so it's a bit more rounded, and then I'm trying to make a good contact point here between the saw blade type thing and the sprue itself. So firstly I use super glue, which usually is supposed to stick stuff, but yeah, it's not sticking this right now. So we got some trusty old Tamiya extra thin cemento, and as we know, Tamiya, well, or if you don't know, so Tamiya extra thin cement it's basically a glue as well, but specifically for like plastics and model making. It welds the plastic instead of like yeah, it welds it together, it melts it. It does the same thing as super glue, apart from it's basically used for just plastic for model making, specifically for a purpose because it's good. You can say the exact same thing about hot glue, but it's stringy, and I hate the stringiness because it gets everywhere, because I'm KitbashCarnage and can't seem to keep anything tidy. So this is me just orientating all the guys. So we made a little dude here with a gun that I found in a box. I couldn't tell you the parts. Please correct me. All comments correcting what parts I'm using are welcome in the comments, guys. I like to know what parts I'm using. So the gun for the green fella just came from the Warhammer Ebay lot that I found. Then we have a hand that came from Ramshackle Games. He's holding a pair of binoculars. And then there's the little green guy himself. Apologies for not knowing any of their names. Then we have a little goblin guy out looking, kind of looking straight forward. He's sitting on a throne of toilet roll. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you heard me. A throne of toilet roll. And he's cheekily giving a gesture there that, yeah, under 18s avert your eyes. So we have the dude there on top overlooking, the guy sitting on his throne, pointing out to say this way, and then our little guy at the back carrying the ammo and the grenade, ready to go to war. Well, this is what we have so far, guys. Thank you very much for all the support and sticking around, and stay tuned for the updates on this little diorama.